Hey everyone, welcome to our Myth Busting Special. I'm Martin, passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, aka DI.
And I'm Tammy, a circularity advocate specifically focusing on sustainability in events.
Today, we're taking some of the biggest myths about sustainable and inclusive events and squashing them like bad Wi Fi at a hybrid conference.
Oh, and there are plenty of myths out there, so we've each come armed with 10 statements for each other. Martine, are you ready to bust some of these myths?
Let's do this. And folks, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what myth you believed until now. So let's start with sustainability. A simple one, Tammy. Hosting a sustainable event means you have to eliminate all waste.
Oh boy, okay. No event is going to be completely zero waste. That's just impossible. What matters is reducing waste. The goal is progress, not perfection. Try to use compostable materials, offer water refill stations, encourage attendees to bring their own stuff, bring their own bags, bring their own water bottles, because there's definitely no need to hand out 50 tote bags, and there's definitely no need to have people um, to hand out 50 water bottles too, unless you're going to encourage them to reuse them at the event.
Okay, now here's a classic. Using paper over plastic at events makes your event sustainable.
Not quite. Paper isn't always the greener option. It is definitely better than plastic for sure. However, it does still take a lot of water and energy to produce. It takes it you have to factor in the destructions of forests to source trees to produce paper. So the key is to reduce single-use items altogether, whether it's plastic or paper. You want to make sure that you consider reusables as an option over single-use any day.
Hmm. Myth number three, if you want to go green, you can't have any fun decorations.
Who told you that? Reusable decor can be fabulous, right? We've talked about this. Think LED lighting and displays. Think fabric banners that are reusable. You can have potted plants that you can rent and donate after. Sustainability doesn't have to be dull, it has to be thoughtful. I've even seen at weddings where people have taken leaves and done cutouts and make organic confetti that they're throwing outside so that it's biodegradable afterwards. So it's all about just being mindful of what it is that you're doing and how it's going to impact the community.
Yeah, I really love this confetti idea. Might reuse that in future events. All right, spill it. Myth number four, hybrid events are just as sustainable as in-person events.
Not necessarily. Sure, hybrid events reduces travel emissions, but with the increase of AI, we're talking a lot about these data centers. Digital events still have a carbon footprint. Data servers and data centers use a lot of energy. So a well-planned hybrid event is still supposed to be mindful about energy use. So as long as you're thinking about that, it's going to be an all-day Zoom marathon any day.
Myth number five, if you recycle everything, you're in the clear.
Recycling is great, but it's not the silver bullet. The goal is to reduce, reuse, and then recycle. Recycling still consumes a lot of energy, and you don't really know what actually ends up getting recycled. So in the US, the top material that is recycled is cardboard, which, communities do a great thing with recycling cardboard and paper. However, plastics and cans and aluminum are actually as recycled. I think it's a small percentage of things that are actually recycled when it comes to plastic. So ultimately, the goal should be to reuse and also reduce. And last resort is to recycle.
Hmm, got it. Myth number six, sustainable catering means everything has to be vegan.
Totally not true. Plant-based options are great. It is more sustainable than certain options, but sustainability really is about balance. Local and seasonally sourced food options are just as important. It reduces shipping and it has fewer emissions. You can even consider local farms that have sustainably raised eggs, cattle, meats, and it reduces also the footprint because of just how those animals are raised. So it doesn't mean that you can't have meat completely at your event, but yes, like there's a balance between the meat and the vegetarian options.
Hmm. Okay. Myth number 7. If the venue isn't certified green, you can't host a sustainable event.
That is not true. Obviously, sustainable and certified venues are nice to have because it helps you kind of reduce a lot of the emissions and helps you do a lot of the homework on the front end. But there are still other ways of growing green and being more eco-friendly. You can pick and select venues that have uh, waste management and water conservation policies. You can select venues that are close to public transportation options. You can work with vendors and partners and venues that have similar sustainability goals in mind and are on the same journey as you and isn't quite, certified at the point where they're considered 100% sustainable. And there's never really something that's kind of 100% sustainable.
Myth number 8, and I like that one. Attendees won't care about sustainability, so it's not worth the effort.
That's not true. Attendees care. They may not voice it, but they do care. They are very mindful, especially the next generation are very focused on this. They notice and appreciate small efforts. So instead of, like offering recycling bins or eco-friendly swag, you'd be really surprised how people respect those thoughtful touches. I think people are just more used to the norm, but you'll hear people point out the things that they like about your events when you start doing them differently because you're just so used to
Mm,
what people are doing that are the same.
agreed. Myth number 9. Green events need to ban giveaways and swag completely.
Not necessarily. You just have to rethink swag. You can make it useful, reusable, digital, eco-friendly. There's a lot of options. Think about e-gift cards and virtual event kits or reusable water bottles, right? Things that you can inspire them to use on a day-to-day and maybe encourage them to bring to your next event, as long as it's something that is mindful and it's not going to be wasteful.
Hmm. Yep. Last one, Tammy. Sustainable events need months of planning to pull off.
That is totally not true. Obviously, it helps to plan ahead, and it also depends on the size and scale of your event, right? Like small events versus large events, they also have all different types of timelines and how much time it goes into planning them efficiently. And obviously, you can adopt simple, sustainable practices like we said, sourcing locally, reducing waste, and going paperless, but it's about those intentional choices. And you can also think about just you'll have more options and if you plan ahead and you can be more intentional about certain things if you plan ahead and give yourself enough time so that it's not as stressful.
Hmm. Okay, Tammy, you've convinced me. Going green sounds totally doable.
I'm glad to hear that's how you're feeling. So now it's my turn to grill you. First one, Martine. Um, Myth. If you invite diverse people to your event is automatically inclusive.
Wrong. Diversity is about inviting people to the event. Inclusion is about making sure they feel welcomed, safe, and heard once they're there. So it doesn't mean because you have diverse attendees or even just diverse speakers that you're fully inclusive.
That makes sense. That it makes sense why there is a distinction between diversity, equity, and inclusion, right?
Mhm.
Myth two, you only need to think about DE&I if you're hosting a big public event.
Nope. So even private events need to consider DI. Like when we talk about staff meetings, retreats, every gathering that should be designed to include and respect everyone involved. You can think about also weddings. You should be mindful of that.
Absolutely. Myth three, providing it a vegetarian option counts as being inclusive.
Well, on that one, so food inclusivity is more than just one vegetarian option. I mean, you've got to consider dietary restrictions in general, like vegan, halal, kosher, gluten-free, and label, of course, everything clearly.
Yep. Myth four, accessibility is only about wheelchair access.
I really hate that one. So
I get it.
accessibility includes visual and hearing accommodations, scent-free environments, and offering things like large print materials or quiet rooms. You also have prayer room. And think about the neurodivergent communities. They can be sensitive to light, to noise, so just make sure to plan accordingly.
And also people who are like hard of hearing and have visual impairment, right? So those are things that we can be mindful about inclusivity as well.
Yep.
Myth number 5. Inclusive events are too complicated to plan.
I think that one is just an excuse for people not planning inclusive events, to be honest. Sorry for people who are watching, but it's not about complication, it's about intention. Like you can start small, small actions like pronoun badges or accessible signage. They can be helpful. And then little by little, you increase the amount of DI initiatives you're implementing into your events.
Yep. Myth number 6. Inclusive language is just political correctness.
Um, so on that one, now it's really about respect, like using inclusive language, like saying everyone instead of ladies and gentlemen makes people feel seen. Like you might have people not identifying themselves as a lady or a gentleman. So we just want to be mindful of that and respect them.
Yep. Myth number 7. If no one complains, the event was inclusive.
Uh, I don't know how that myth comes up, but silence doesn't mean inclusion. People might not feel comfortable speaking up, and that's a bad sign. The goal is to design events where everyone feels safe enough to express themselves. So make sure to include, for example, surveys with anonymous answers, like so you don't identify them and they still feel safe giving feedbacks to you so you can improve your future events.
Myth number 8. You need to hire DE&I experts for every event to make it inclusive.
That's not true. While experts are helpful, there are many simple ways that you can learn about how to be inclusive in your events, like watching our channels and also guides on accessible event planning or workshops on inclusive practices.
Yes, shameless plug. Listen to our channel. um, Myth number 9. Only big organizations need to care about DE&I.
DI matters for events of all sizes, no matter the size, really. Like, I mean, a small workshop or networking event can have just as much impact as a huge conference.
And I think smaller events, people notice more, right? Like the room is smaller, people are more able to be one-on-one with each other, so it's more obvious at smaller events. Um, okay, last one. Myth. You'll never get everything right, so why bother?
Because trying makes a difference. Even if it's not perfect, people appreciate the effort. They will see it. So, inclusion is about being flawless, it's about being thoughtful and open to learning.
Okay, I'm sold. DE&I isn't just necessary, it's totally doable.
Yeah, exactly, Tammy. So, I think we've officially busted some myths today.
We sure did. Yes, totally. Sustainability and inclusion don't have to be overwhelming, they just require attention and also thoughtful intention.
Exactly. Small changes can lead to big impacts, whether it's in DI or sustainability.
Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. If you learned something new or if you've got more myths for us to bust, drop them in the comments below. And we look forward to hearing from you.
And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And see you next time.
Bye.